What's up? I'm AJ, and welcome back to Gen Z Garage. As you can see, today we are not in the garage, if you couldn't tell. We are visiting my grandparents in Central Florida, and we are going to be going to a storage unit that my dad rents in an undisclosed location to pick up an engine hoist, an engine stand, and check out possible future projects. Let's go.
Wait, we can't forget about the trivia. In our last video, I asked what you thought this is. The trivia device is known as an anti-dieseling solenoid. These were found in a variety of carburetors from the late 1970s to the early 1980s. They energized when the ignition was turned on and would hold the throttle blades open at idle to the angle that maintained proper idle speed. When the ignition was turned off, the solenoid would be immediately de-energized, thus completely shutting the throttle blades and preventing the engine from dieseling. Several people responded and two were close. Both TurboSlug and Bruce Kelly came close, and to be fair, were also correct. They were also used in some applications such as an AC compensator solenoid and even as a solenoid-controlled choke. Congrats to TurboSlug and Bruce Kelly for winning the trivia. You both get the point. Now, let's get to the storage unit. The storage unit is a long drive from my grandparents' house, and we traveled across many states, visiting many sites along the way. We even stopped for a bite to eat. For the past 12 or 13 years, my dad has, irresponsibly kept a couple of cars in storage while we moved around for his career. To be completely honest, I can't remember if I've ever seen these cars before. Let's not even talk about what the total cost of 13 years of storage fees look like, but apparently there's a Fiero in there and some parts that I'll likely be able to use. More importantly, there is an engine stand and an engine lift that I'll need in order to move forward with my project this summer. The road was long and arduous. At one point, it felt like the path would be endless, but I persevered, and eventually, I got there.
Let's see what's behind door 1. Opa, can you help me?
Sure.
It should probably come as no surprise that my dad's first car was also a Fiero, but I actually had no idea before I became interested in the one that I have got now. His Fiero is in surprisingly good shape, and there's a lot of spare parts in here that I can likely use in my own car.
My dad has allowed me to take a variety of parts from his storage unit, including his blaster gun. Pew pew! Just kidding, it's a timing light.
Among the different parts in the garage, we found a large box of heat-shrink electrical tubing. It includes not only short pieces for connectors, but entire rolls to protect an entire harness. We've also decided to take back an entire bin, which included a lot of tools and various parts that I can use, including a fuel pressure testing kit, an AC pressure tester, a cylinder compression tester, and even a vacuum pressure gauge. It also came with new cam bearings for my engine, a bag of exhaust clamps, a set of new high and low horns, a set of spare map sensors, and various other parts. Most importantly though, we can now set the timing with the timing light. Next, we have a set of spare hinges for the deck lid, which we will rebuild with new Rodney Dickman straps. And also a serviceable brake master cylinder, which I will rebuild and make into a separate video. We also found a brand new Ocelot catalytic converter from the Fiero store, which my dad must have purchased over 13 years ago. This will fit perfectly on my Fiero and replace the old charcoal cat. We also found an entire roll of adhesive sound deadening material, which I'll lay down on floorboards to improve sound isolation and deadening. Finally, my dad had a spare fuel fill tube that I'm going to clean up and use in my car. My My dad even had a spare 5-speed get drive, which he said came from a Fiero that had only 30,000 miles on it. Would be pretty nice to have that in my car, but I'll stick with the Isuzu 5-speed for now.
And now let's find out what's under door number 2. Opa, can you help me?
Sure.
A Volkswagen bus that's covered right now. And I don't even know what this is. What is this?
A wine fridge.
Why? That's so random.
This second storage unit had a lot more things in it, including my mom's 1973 Volkswagen bus. It also had the engine hoist and the engine stand that we originally came here for. But that's not all that was in the storage unit. There were quite a few other interesting things to see.
Some of the interesting things we'll find are a Porsche 914 engine, a bucket of rusty screws, and a 1969 455 Oldsmobile Big Block.
We picked up quite a lot on this trip, and it all fit nicely in the back of our Explorer with room still for me to sit. These tools and parts are going to go a long way to helping me get through this project. And now, we head back home.
As you can see, we're back from our trip. We've brought back some gauges, the timing blaster gun, the engine hoist and engine stand, and we've also gone to the store and bought these 2 supplies for our next project. But first, let's talk about the engine tools.
One of the major projects I'll be undertaking on this car is the rebuilding of my Iron Duke engine. In order to properly disassemble, service, and rebuild the engine, I'll need a sturdy stand with which I can mount the engine. This engine stand was purchased from Harbor Freight about 15 years ago, but it's still a model that you can purchase today, just in red. The current version of this same stand sells for $200. What makes this stand ideal is that it is collapsible when not in use, and the mount that can be rotated to make it easier to work around the motor. The stand supports up to 2,000 pounds, but the Iron Duke weighs roughly less than 400 pounds fully assembled, making this stand more than adequate to support this project. But before we can put the engine on the stand, we'll first need to get it out of the car. For that, you'll need an engine hoist. Like the engine stand, this engine hoist was purchased over 13 years ago, but still has an equivalent version being sold at Harbor Freight. The current version of this stand sells for roughly $230. The only real difference appears to be that mine comes with a handle that allows you to more easily move the stand back and forth. This appears to be absent on the current model. This hoist is also collapsible and has a capacity of 1 ton. This means it can support 2,000 pounds. Since my engine is less than 400 pounds, it will be a walk in the park for this stand. You'll also need this 3/4 ton capacity load leveler to properly bolt the engine to the hoist. This retails for roughly $40 and is the same one I have attached to my hoist.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see my progress on restoring this car, please remember to leave a like and subscribe. It's Mother's Day today, so make sure to tell your mother Happy Mother's Day. But before we go, I want you guys to tell me what you think this tool is used for.
Now I finally can get my tools back.